In the morning light, I'm chasing dreams, navigating through the office streams. Deadlines looming, emails piling high, wondering if I'm reaching for the sky or just passing by. The world outside, it's a swirling storm, chaos in the streets, a daily norm. But inside my mind, I'm seeking peace, a way to balance, a moment to seize. Careers, chaos, and coaching too. Finding the path, what else can we do? Observing closely, learning as we go. Making decisions, let our wisdom show. Through the storms and the calm, we'll find our way. With every challenge, we'll learn to say, we've got the strength, we've got the grace to face the world and find our place. Upon meetings, voices in my head, strategies and plans, where do they lead instead? I take a breath, step back to see the bigger picture, what's meant to be. Coaching sessions, a guiding light, helping me focus, setting things right. With every word, a new perspective gained. In the game of life, it's not about the pain. Careers, chaos, and coaching too. Finding the path, what else can we do? Observing closely, learning as we go. Making decisions, let our wisdom show. Through the storms and the calm, we'll find our way. With every challenge, we'll learn to say, we've got the strength, we've got the grace to face the world and find our place. Quiet moments, I find my voice. In the chaos, I make my choice to lead with kindness, to act with care, to be the change, to show I'm aware. Careers, chaos, and coaching too. Finding the path, what else can we do? Observing closely, learning as we go. Making decisions, let our wisdom show. Through the storms and the calm, we'll find our way. With every challenge, we'll learn to say, we've got the strength, we've got the grace to face the world and find our place.
Well, hello, and welcome to another Careers, Chaos, and Coaching. And I am here with my wonderful co-host, Melissa Houston. Today is Sunday, April 19th, 2026. And we are here today to talk about AI and hiring. Faking it won't make it. The truth about AI and hiring and what you need to know. So I'm excited about this topic today. I'm looking forward to seeing many of you in the chat join our conversation. I've been talking to a number of recruiters recently about this topic. I did invite a lot of them last minute, so I don't know if a lot of them will make it today, but we look forward to having this be a really engaging topic. But before we get started, Miss Houston, how are you doing today? How's your Sunday going so far?
It is blue skies and happiness here. So I'm kind of excited about the day. I have the next 2 days off. I'm excited to be here. But Felipe, honestly, I'm still kind of buzzing from yesterday's wedding event that I got to be in the booth of. And I feel like it ties directly into today's conversation, ironically enough. And so I can't wait to talk more about it later.
So did someone get married that we know about, or just a wedding event that you attended?
No, part of that thing I've been doing with Slice, for those who don't know, I work with a restaurant locally for their marketing and events. They showed up at a wedding venue yesterday for all these vendors, for brides-to-be and grooms-to-be, all those couples looking for different options for their weddings. I got to be there and hang out in the booth and serve food and talk about the different things we could do for catering. But the whole time I'm thinking about the show going, I wonder how this correlates. So I can't wait to talk about it.
Well, I love that, especially since my daughter's getting married in October. We just had a food tasting, and I just got to tell you, the food matters. And it's funny, sometimes there's small little touches that, AI can make it look good, but when you actually see it and taste it, I'll give you an example of something I had. I had a very simple thing that they share. One of the simple appetizers I could pass around is a small espresso cup filled with the most delicious tomato soup I've ever had, and a strip of grilled cheese on top of it. The simplest little thing presented so well, the smell, the real. So we'll talk about that.
I love that concept. I was just telling a few people yesterday how I would love to do a grilled cheese bar at a wedding and just have like different versions of the grilled cheese. You could beef it up like a potato bar kind of, but grilled cheese style right there, hot and ready. Because yeah, we'll get into it. We'll get into it. It's not even the topic today. Let's go.
Before we jump into it, I want to welcome some people who have already joined the chat. It's so great to see so many of our friends here early. Thank you to William Rochelle and Leslie Flowers, who's here and does her wonderful shows Mondays and Fridays and does the LinkedIn TV Guide, as I call it, which really, if you are not in tune to when the lives are happening, if you have that feeling, you know, when you're streaming and you're trying to remember what show was I watching on what streaming service on what day, and there's not a good guide to tell you when everything is on. Well, Leslie's been kind enough to do that for the LinkedIn Lives. So if you follow Leslie, she posts about that weekly. Check her out. William Rochelle, who does shows, he has one today at 4:00. Check him out. Leanna, it's always great to see you as a wonderful supporter of the show. Ernest, thank you. Appreciate your comment about the video. Merrill Cass, our master communicator, connector. I don't think we could do what we do without him sometimes, because he really does keep these lives for all of us, not just Melissa and I, but everyone, just really flowing and letting people know about them. So we appreciate your support. And I can't wait to go to New Jersey. I haven't heard back about the SHRM conference yet, Merrill, but hopefully. And then Gregory Liverpool, I know this is a hot topic for you, Gregory, so I know you're going to have some words about this. And Jay, it's always wonderful to see you. May the 4th is coming up soon, Jay. And Michelle, thank you for joining us as well. David Pushkin, our LinkedIn radio voice, always great to hear you here. Rotimi, thank you for joining us. And I think that's it for right now. So before we get started into the topic of faking it won't make it, the truth about AI and hiring, let's do some introductions and initial thoughts about this topic. So ladies first, Miss Houston, please introduce yourself and tell us your initial thoughts about this topic.
Okay, guys. Well, welcome. I am Melissa Houston, cultivator of dreams, motivator of human capital. And what that means is I help people like you, leaders in business, get the most out of their teams, get the most out of their motivation, and really just take some structure into the way they play. I like to use elementary education concepts to get it done, the who, what, where, when, whys, colors, Venn diagrams, bubbles, and, you know, all that good stuff. But I got to say, guys, the AI movement is here. It's not going anywhere. I don't care if you like it, love it, hate it. It is going to stay. It is that sticker you just can't peel off the wall. It's always going to be there until it fades. And I just don't see technology fading. So that said, I am excited to talk about the topic because I think it's being overly used. I think it's being underutilized where it is utilized. And I think we're just kind of swimming in waters we don't understand. And when you're not paying attention to what is below the surface, you can get in a lot of trouble in those waters. So I'm really excited to get into it, maybe get some clarity here. Murky waters cause trouble, but clarity rules. So Felipe, I'm excited. Let's do this.
Okay. And for those of you that I have not had the pleasure of meeting, my name is Felipe Cofino. I've been an HR executive for over 25 years, and I am the founder of Cofino Consulting, where I offer HR services such as training, recruitment, coaching, and HR audits. I'm still very passionate of being an HR executive in the workplace because I still value the opportunity to improve the workplace for everyone, leaders, employees, and everyone that interacts with them, as well as the clients. As far as other things I do, I am a LinkedIn top voice, which I don't take lightly. It just inspires me to make sure that the content that we share here and on my posts is valuable, useful, and relevant. I'm also an author of Miranda Max, which I am going to put the QR code for that because I just finished publishing the Spanish version of this. This is the English version. I love putting these in little book houses that people have in their yards, for free books, to take and give back. But I just officially finished all the illustration last night for Brady and Lucky, the one-eyed cats. And I'm very excited about that. What also got me excited about it was at the end of the book, I had to give a teaser for the third book. And that is going, and I third book, and it's going to be about 3 different dogs that are going to be in the story. And one of them is my niece's dog, Benny, who is a little Chihuahua that tends to be the alpha of the family, ironically enough. But more to come about that. All right. Outside of that, I'm just a passionate LinkedIn enthusiast that loves to get back here with Melissa Houston and really help people with their careers, whether they're looking to move up, move out, or start their own business sometimes. So with that being said, let's get into this topic. All right. Now I have some Felipe's fives. I posted this a few days ago, so I'm just going to use the slider that I created because I didn't want to create a whole nother slider. But I'm going to go skip right to the 5 here because the first one here, actually, you know what? I take that back. Before I do that, I want to tell a story. Let's go back here a second here because one of the things that I want to see how many people remember this story. And this really just is the epitome of what we're going to talk about today. When ChatGPT first came out, within the first 6 months, it was being used and people were trying it for everything. And I'll never forget the story of this courtroom. And there was a judge who was reviewing a case that was submitted by this attorney. And they're going through the case and they're checking the sources. And all the sources are invalid links. And they started realizing that some of the information was not accurate. This attorney took AI, wrote a very good document, but once you dug deeper, it wasn't accurate. The sources weren't accurate. The links didn't work. And he lost his credibility, his reputation, his job, and possibly got disbarred. So that is just one example of someone that did this when AI first came out. I say that story now because you think we would have learned from that lesson. Apparently not. We have not. So people are still doing it. So with that being said, let's get into this real quick. All right. The first one, this is not a new one. This is the first one that I think a lot of people know about is they say the ATSs, the AI is screening out your resumes. Yes and no. Okay. It's happening. The bigger companies out there, the Amazons of the world, they are getting hundreds of thousands of resumes. They are definitely using AI to screen out stuff. But here's what I want you to realize. There are some companies that have been faulted for screening out in discriminatory ways. Of all the people that I've talked to over the last 10 years that we've been dealing with ATSs, or no, more than that, 20 years almost, understand something. Majority of people used it to rule out things that they needed to. For example, are you a U.S. citizen? Because I can only hire U.S. citizens. If you're not, you're going to get that immediate rejection, which again, reject somebody like after a few days. Don't reject them like 10 minutes after they apply. That's a smack in the face. But that's where they had to work on that and fix those things. There are also questions like, are you capable to stand on your feet all day? Well, if you answer no to that question and it's a cashier role, then why are they going to consider you if you can't stand on your feet all day? So there's certain knockout questions that are valid. And look, when you're running a business and you're trying to be efficient, you got to respect that. The problem is that people try to make their resumes too fancy. And here's the takeaway. Make it easy to read and make it almost boring in a way as far as how it looks aesthetically. The days of scented paper and colored paper doesn't matter. Columns can confuse a lot of the ATSs. The ATSs that are reading resumes are reading one column per page. So if you have a second column with your skills, certifications, education, it missed all of that. And guess what? You don't have the education that's required. You may have gotten booted out because it was in a different column. So simplicity is better. All right, I'm going to stop there because Houston, I know you have some thoughts, and I don't want to go too far on this.
I mean, the applicant tracking system is something that's not new. Everybody's on this conversation now with AI, but somebody who was in background screening for a decade, I've been using it forever. I was doing it back in 2015 to automatically get data. I would automatically scrape the information off of the background check, name, social, date of birth, and throw a big net all over the nation to pull information back. It was not perfect. It had to be touched by a human to make it better. But that's still the same case now, 10 years later, more even. We're looking at it and it's still a computer trying to guess what you mean by the information you're inputting. And so if you just say, hey, I need this one line item, that's all you tell it. That's all it knows to go. And it's going to get filled. Most like the humans, right? You give them just a little bit of information. I just need a few supplies from the store, but don't tell them supplies. Felipe's list of supplies would be different than my list of supplies. So if you're going to use AI to do this, you have to tell it. Make sure it's applicant ATS friendly. Make sure it's easy to read by computers that are screening applicants through programs. You can get as serious about it as you want, but if you don't, then it's going to be a joke. And I just hate to say that, but the truth is you either take it seriously or you opt out on the easy button. And we've talked about easy apply, and it's honestly very comparable in that scenario, right? Where you just kind of set it and forget it. It's the Ronco way. I feel like some of us kids from infomercial land want it to be easier than it is. Staples had their easy button, but that's not a reality, guys. AI actually makes it harder because if you're not going back and forth with it to refine what you're getting what everybody else got the first 3 transactions, right? And if you stop at 1, you're really in trouble. Felipe?
Absolutely. And here's the thing I want to remind people also is this, what Melissa and I just shared, has been going on for 15, 20 years. The AI today is doing more now. When it reads your resume and cover letter, it's using AI agents to say, hey, look for examples of people that have demonstrated what we're asking for and gave a good example. When it can say that, it's going to mark it as a higher thing. So AI is now searching for those metrics that we put into it. So AI is going to get wiser. And we'll talk about that in a little bit more in a minute. Number 2 here. All right. The authenticity and trust matter. Okay. This is something that is so important because it's an AI's arms race, as they call it. All right. The candidates and employers are using AI on both sides. And it's become a trust issue. Are what they say on paper really what they can do? AI-generated application makes it harder to verify skills because you don't know anymore if AI wrote it or if the human wrote it. And so that's why when people can tell the story sometimes, it really does make a huge difference. And it's got to be examples that you can back up when you're in person. So when they do that phone call or that video screening, and it ends up being shorter than you thought it was, it may have been because you did not give them good examples and you were not able to validate what you said you did. If you said, hey, I worked a project and I was a lead person from A to Z, great. Talk to me about the stakeholders and all the steps you took through that project management process. Oh, well, I talked to the people that were involved. Well, who are the stakeholders? Well, all the leaders. Who are the leaders? You see, and that's what happens. I've seen it happen. I've interviewed people for 30 years. Trust me, we can tell when you can't back up what you say you can do. Houston, what are your thoughts?
Oh, I love this so much. It actually leads into a question Nick had that said 2015, what's the top 3 major changes you've seen, Melissa Houston? And I'll be honest, accessibility. It used to be a business program that you had it on the back end. It was built into a tech stack you had somewhere, but businesses could get access first. Always is, right? After government business. Then the diversity of the market. It wasn't just a couple of people who had this, who were out there, gathering the data, because truthfully back then, that's what they had to do is buy in, get people integrated. Even the courts, for example, they had to have the county opt into the automation and integration. And so more people are ready than ever before. And then the third thing is I think use case. We're changing the way we're doing it. You never could write code before with AI. We had to sit there on MySpace and do it for hours without any kind of training, right? We just had to figure it out. And that's no longer the case. And so I think it's easier to access, easier to use, more widespread, but that makes it a problem because the more people who have the things that can be dangerous when used ineffectively, the worse it can get out there on the streets. And so I think holding yourself, like we said here, Felipe, the authenticity, the trust. Do you have it for yourself? Could you pass the test on what your resume says right now? If I asked you to tell me what's there, could you tell me, or would you have to read it because AI wrote all of it for you? That's the problem, right? Because you are going to be tested. This is a conversation starter, not an ender. And that's where most people are getting it wrong. Felipe?
And people that know you or know the industry are going to be able to call it out. I was just on an interview recently last week, and they were saying that the head of the company is very concerned about the benefit premiums and how high they're going. Have you had success in reducing that? I said, sure. And they're like, well, tell us how. And I gave them a very detailed example. And I was like, I'm sorry, that was a very long example. He goes, no, you proved to us that you've actually done it because you knew the ins and outs and you showed us the pitfalls and the things you looked out for. So that's the example. They want the details. So please think about that and don't misrepresent yourself. That's the big takeaway. All right. Next one here. AI reveals what matters, skills and resilience over credentials. Okay. So AI is shifting beyond credentials. Credentials still matter. Don't get me wrong. They are valuable. They open the door. But highlighting the resilience, the adaptability, the problem solving, that's what's going to make you get the opportunity for the interview or get the job. Because again, it's like saying, I have a degree, but if you never worked in the field, do you understand it fully? You have to have that connection of the both. So the credentials matter and they help, but show that you've used the credentials and give them examples of how it applied. Because like Melissa said, AI has been around, and as someone else said it, AI has been around forever. We have been dealing with AI. We just didn't realize we were, or it wasn't as big as it is today. So Houston, what are your thoughts about this one here? Because skills and resilience and really being able to show those skills, I think, matter more than titles and credentials more than ever.
Oh, I have an opinion. Most of you have heard me call myself a GED and a smile. So skills and credentials, I think it's important to prove what you know. I think there's many ways you can do it. Some go gather the intelligence before they approach the task. Some of us learn on the go. But I think being able to highlight how you can execute anything, documentation, then action, being able to say, yes, I've done it. Even if you don't have the experience, get a hobby. Call your local nonprofit and say, hey, I am new at this thing. I would love to adopt you as my first client. Can I please do X for you? You don't have to utilize it, but I'm just asking for a review once you've reviewed what I provide you. That is a way to get some credentials, some references, some tasks, some projects you can highlight on your profile here. If you don't have the certification, if you don't go get the gold star from somebody who can say, yes, you're trained on this and then show, right? That's the best way to do it. Felipe, what do you think?
Absolutely. I can agree more. And it's not going to change. So if you think you can try to fool it, no, but you have value in what you've done. And I've met a lot of people with degrees, PhDs, that never did anything with it. And today they were the smartest person in school. 20 years later, they haven't accomplished much. So it's not a guarantee. It's the whole package about you as a person and who you are today. Remember that. All right. Fourth one. This is going to be I'm going to tough love here, y'all. Adapt or lose out. Because AI skills, as much as we are criticizing some of it, you need to learn it. It's part of continuous learning. It's part of evolving. It's like you saying, I refuse to use a microwave when they came out, or I refuse to use a laptop, or I refuse to use a smartphone. It's part of evolution, and it's being used worldwide. It's not just a trend. So if you are not taking the opportunities to adapt and learn how to use AI, Even if it's the first time you're going to do it, start somewhere. If you've done it and you've been using it for a lot of basic stuff, great. Level up. Start doing something different, more challenging. But the reality is it's not going away. And if we don't have that as part of our skill set on our resume, we are not going to stand out. If anything, we might get knocked out in the future for not having AI skills. That is going to be a regular expectation, just like, do you know Microsoft Office? Everyone expects that. That's a standard now. It's not even a question anymore almost, but it's still asked on the resume, on the application. AI is going to be the same way. Houston, what are your thoughts?
Oh, I think about email. And guys, I'm going to vamp for 2 seconds. So raise your hand, do something, comment if you remember before email was everybody's thing. I remember I was an 80s baby. In the 2000s, I remember walking through the grocery stores and seeing AOL say, hey, you can get 1,045 free hours with this disk. Put it in your computer, set it up. And I think about that being within my son's lifetime. I remember that cart having a kiddo in it. He is 26 this year. And I'm thinking, wow, okay, so fast forward, you can't get utilities. You can't get a car. You can't get a bank. You can't get anything without email. Something that didn't even exist for everybody 20 something years ago, right? We are mostly older than Google in this room. Everybody listening, if I gathered you without permission and if I'm calling you out, I'm sorry. But the truth is, what if you were still holding your typewriter? What if you refused to do an email and now you can't even get utilities? Because everything moves forward without your permission. And you have to determine how long you're going to wait. If you were the mail carrier that was competing, FedEx and UPS, let's go back 100 years. The car comes out. One of them says, I want to use Ford's Model T. We're going to deliver all over town in half the time. The other's like, nope, I want my horses. There were good and bad of both, right? The tires weren't getting traction. You didn't have a lot of gas stations available. There was a lot of problems. However, they stuck it out. They moved with the traditions. They moved with what technology was doing because in spite of the flaws, it was going forward anyway. And now if you are a horse and pony show, you're obsolete. You're in a museum while the others are still rolling along down the street with automatic drivers and EV batteries, right? So you guys have to assess where you want to be. You can be the last pony standing and you will absolutely capture that market until it's gone. You have to decide, Felipe.
Very well said. Don't become the dinosaur. All right. Our fifth and last one here is the human. And here's the good news. The human touch still wins. Networking, connecting. AI is not going to do that for you because it's only going to, again, open the door. You've got to be able to walk through it. So with AI hiring practice, a genuine human connection through referrals, conversations, DMs, proof of work, stories, your journey, what drives you and passion for wanting to work in that industry builds trust and sets you apart. I'm currently applying to be the head of HR for a school system. I hope I get it. When they asked me why I want to work there, I had never worked in a school, but I grew up in a teacher's household. My mother, 50 years as a teacher. My wife has worked 20 years in an all-girls school. I've been exposed to being a forever learner, and the dedication teachers have and the education system to me is something that is so valuable, and we need to do whatever we can to improve it. That was my story because it's true. Share your story. That's going to make a difference, and let them know why it matters to you. That's going to set you apart. Houston, what are your thoughts?
Oh, I love Nick's timing on questions because she ties into this. How do you apply for a job? You have the experience, but not the certification. I don't have my PMP cert, but 10 years of project management. It's this. It's the connection on LinkedIn. It's the storytelling. It's asking people you've managed projects with, whether it was the books you've done, taking to publishing, or whether it was something else, right? You've done a lot on this platform alone, let alone outside of this platform. So you get those referrals, the reviews. You have those stories, like Felipe said, to be able to say, hey, I gathered a bunch of professionals together numerous times and we became international best-selling authors together, co-authors together, right? That is a feat. That is a huge win. You don't need a certification to prove you've done it. The other thing is 10,000 hours is mastery expertise level. That's what you need to invest in a craft of any kind to be able to call yourself an expert. And so if you have put 10,000 hours into anything, guys, 40 hours a week times how many weeks times how many years, you have the authority to claim it. And you can say so based on that number, because that is a widely accepted number. So if you've put in the time, you've earned it. That's why they'll take, degree or equivalent experience. How many hours are you in the classroom to get that expertise? It's kind of funny when you look at the back end of the math of it all. But what I would say is you have to make sure you're moving forward your way. You have to make sure it aligns with you. Human touches are definitely it, but just remember the golden rule of 3. And Felipe, I'm going to toss it back to you after this. You can confirm or deny. But what I have noticed as a certified staffing professional, as somebody who has coached a ton of people, as somebody who did background checks, 3 references get you in. 3 recommendations get you in. Even personal references, it's always 3 they're asking for. And so if you have 3 experiences where you can say, I've project managed, I've done this a thing, then I think you're successfully set up to move forward and have the conversations. Felipe, what do you think?
I agree. The only thing I'll say is that place I just interviewed for, they asked for 5 references, which was higher than normal.
At what stage?
Right after the first interview.
Okay, after the first interview, I love that timing, because 5 up front would feel a little daunting to me, but after the interview, that's great. Because honestly, the statistic comes that most don't answer either.
Yeah, and now here's the thing. I also reached out to those 5, let them know, of course, out of respect. Hey, I put you under reference. Is that okay? Or you should ask them before you put them down, really. But what I also did was, hey, would you mind leaving me a LinkedIn recommendation? So I have a recent recommendation from you that I can direct them to in case it's easier for them. And 3 of them did it right away. That's another way to show that human connection and networking, that even though you may have worked with somebody, I had somebody that worked with me 5 years ago that worked for me. They're now a VP of learning and development, and they're doing great. That shows that I was able to manage someone up, promote them out, and they're still doing great. Those are the things that, set you apart. And when you have those recommendations and tell us stories about what you did, let them boast about you, because it's hard for us to boast about ourselves. It is. And
not all of us.
All right. Well,
just kidding. I struggle in interviews too. That was just a joke. I had to throw it out. But truthfully, yes, have people who can sell you better than you sell yourself.
Because I'll say, I just told Melissa this. My interview last week, I went on. I started after they told me about the job and all the ins and outs, and they said, "Okay, well, tell us, about you and your experience." I said, "Well, first, let me tell you, you found your person. I'm the person that you need for this job. I can do this. I have experience in all the things you mentioned, and I'm going to give you some examples of how I did each of those things just now." I felt so nervous saying that. I was sweating. Thank God it was not visible, but I was so nervous for saying that, because I was like, I'm going to cross cocky. I'm going to cross, just egotistical. And at the end, the person said, by the way, you didn't come across cocky. You came across confident. And that's what we need. And that's something, again, I want to stress to people. It's nerve-wracking being in an interview, you all. It's nerve-wracking talking to people. But you have confidence because you have experience. Be confident and show that.
I got to say, Felipe, if I'm reading a lack of confidence on you, I'm going to give you 10% interview swing. Like a good leader who's done interviews knows there's a human aspect to being interviewed. Everybody gets a little nervous. But if you're not confidently telling me you can do this, how am I going to believe you?
Exactly.
And guys, that's one of the greatest tips. There's a few things I just want to jump in. I've been watching these comments more today than usual, but Nick asked a follow-up question. So even if they require it, still apply ? I would. I always say if I have 70% of what they want, I'm going to go for it. Because if they go, hey, we said we wanted the certification, I don't see it. Can you explain why you thought you should apply anyway? Absolutely. You just gave me a permission to sell myself to you. You just gave me permission to explain how, while nobody gave me the gold star, I have created a chart all by myself, and we have been successful in everything we've applied to the chart. And so think about it. The other thing is, Lauren said, Felipe, get rid of the AOL emails, guys. You need an Outlook email. You have to have one. And if you want a really easy one, connect with insert name at outlook.com. That is my favorite. So connect with Melissa Houston at Outlook is an email. If I was Felipe, I would do the same thing, but with his name. The reason, it's easy. Number two, it's not going to age you. It is the freshest, newest email. Proton.me is another one that if I see it, I'm like, ooh, they're a little bit edgy. If you're in IT, it's probably the one you should be using. They'll respect it. But those little things that are way before the human touch, I think are worse than AI. There's biases out there, guys, and AI takes some of that away. I'll be honest with you. If your resume can get through the ATS and they don't see your email automatically as an AOL, you've already won something. So that's a hurdle you've reduced by using the AI technology. And there is both sides to the story. There's good, there's bad, there's all of it, right? But what we need to do is use it our way. Felipe, do you want to answer Michelle's question?
I was going to answer Annie's question first.
Okay, I didn't see it.
Annie, where did Annie's question go now? Oh, here's. Okay, so Annie says that most people don't know how to get AI tools to know their skills and how they help. Any ideas? So yes. So this is where I love to. AI can help you recognize the transferable skills you have. So if you see a job that you like and you're worried that you don't know if the skills you have transfer over, this is where you want to use AI. Take your resume, take the job description, and say, what skills do I have that would match what they're looking for? And then once you see that, then come up with examples of what you did with that skill in that previous job. And when you give examples, people are going to see how easily it's transferable versus just saying, oh, I had that skill, I did it in my previous job. Okay, that's great, but it's a different industry. Well, let me tell you how I did it. And once they hear you say it, that's like, oh, well, that's exactly how we do it here. So that actually might work. But here's the other thing also. The certifications that you mentioned with Nicole. To that question there, I want to make sure people realize when it says preferred, always apply. When it says required, if you really want the job and you have good experience, still apply. And here's why. I put required on jobs all the time. Sometimes we don't get one of the requirements and we have to pick somebody that is missing one of the requirements. It might be you because you have the strong experience. So keep that in mind. Just don't put all your eggs in that basket because when they do require it, a lot of times they will knock you out. Now, Michelle's question.
Oh, wait, can I just add one more tip, guys, before you get overwhelmed? Because I know it can be overwhelming to go into this pool of AI unknowing, right? Just ask AI to teach you how to use AI for your thing. Hey, AI, I want to use you to build a resume. I don't know how you work. How are we going to do this? And it will talk you through it. It's crazy if you say, hey, I need to build a website with you, AI. How would I go about that? What are the steps? It will tell you. And it's like, would you like to proceed? It's so easy if you're not afraid to ask it questions. So just ask it questions. Just start small. Something simple. What is the make or the tire for a motorcycle is something I used AI for this week. It wasn't looming over my head. I can say, hey, what's the best kind of sealant for an acrylic paint or a latex paint? There's so many use cases, but just start practicing the use so you can get comfortable with it. Go ahead. Sorry.
No, that was good. And I think it's important for people to remember that. All right. And Michelle's question here was really about, again, and if they do ask for references up front, still give those people the respect of a heads up, because two things might happen. One, they might not be prepared for it, and they might just give a very lackadaisical answer, like, yeah, oh yeah, they were good. I'm sorry, I'm really busy right now. But she was a great employee. I would hire her. Hang up. Or they don't recognize a number. Guess what I do when I don't recognize a number? I don't answer it. So it's
Okay, to be fair, you don't answer half the time. You do recognize the number, but
okay. That's what
I'm
you
just
call
kidding.
me. You call me when you wake up at 6 a.m. and I'm still sleeping. I'm
Do you
sorry.
know, for the record, guys, Felipe was on Lauren Sermon's show on Friday, and she talked about how we talk daily at 4 and 7 a.m. respectively. Felipe's just not the goat best friend. No, I'm
I'm
just kidding.
still
Listen,
sleeping.
it's a great
I'm
tip. It
taking
is a
care of
great
my
tip. You
wellness
have to
here.
tell
Come on
people
now.
they're your reference, because it would really be terrible if Felipe didn't go, hey, I want this job. I'm going to have somebody call. And I think like somebody from LinkedIn is going, hey, I'm calling about a reference from Felipe. And I'm like, oh, he sucks. He sucks so bad. He's like the worst person I know. And I'm joking. I would never really say that. But if you're a friend of ours, you know, I poke at him. If I didn't know it was a real reference call, that could be really bad.
Yeah.
But the other thing I would say is also have it industry relative. I know this is weird and not enough people talk about it, but if you are the sweetest girl in, you know, your Sunday school class, and that's great, Mrs. Smith gave you the reference, wonderful. But if it's not for Sunday school leadership, if it's not tying to the industry you're going into, it may not be the best reference. I would rather talk to, you know, Sally, who worked next to you on the shift, who was just pushing boxes of food out for the food drive you guys did for Miss Smith, right? And so just make sure the references align, make sure they know that you're coming, and then also have them in multiple places. Have it on your LinkedIn, have it on your Facebook. If you're a small business owner, this applies too. I think those things are always coming together as applications for jobs. You're always getting hired for pay, right? So think about those things. The other thing I want to quickly say is hi to my friend out there, Bernard. I haven't seen him in a while, but he is a former client of mine who I helped with LinkedIn too, and he's out there dropping some good knowledge.
He is. And, you know, I do want to answer or point out what Lauren said. Remove things that introduce biases. You may have had strong feelings in the past. You might have put things on your profile that you feel strongly about. And now you're applying for a job that maybe said that they're against it, but they might not look on that as favorable because maybe they're apolitical and you've been a little bit political, maybe. Who knows? Also, look at the reviews. I was applying on jobs through Indeed, and there's a tab that says reviews, and I clicked it by accident. I'm like, oh, I left a review like 8 years ago, and it was about the toxic workplace I was at. It wasn't the best review, and I looked at it and I said, if I was a recruiter and I read this review, would I be concerned? I said, not overly, but it raised a red flag of, is this person a complainer? So I removed the review. It's been 8 years. Do your research. Remove things that introduce biases, like Lauren says. It's important. All right. Now, with that being said, let's bring up our first guest here, Mr. Gregory Liverpool. Thank you for joining us. It's always great to see you here. Let me get back to the screen here. There we go. Gregory, I know that you are passionate about this topic. So let's hear your thoughts about it. Over to you.
Melissa, welcome back.
Thank you. Thank you.
Everything's going well on your end?
Yeah, I've just been super busy kind of doing the family thing. Got a lot to talk about, but I want to hear about this AI thing. Thanks for checking in.
Just checking. Hello to everybody on this WrestleMania Sunday. That's for you, Melissa. I am going to be, in the words of CM Punk, probably doing a mic drop and a mic bomb on this issue, because to me this is an issue that is basically prevalent for the last few months on LinkedIn in regards to AI resume slop and the efficacy in regards to AI. I saw a post by the great Stephen Levy that's basically in regards to AI use within the ATS model, that is only capturing 1/3 of candidates who are basically fraudulent candidates in the ATS system. That needs to be corrected. Period. End of story. Full stop. In terms of the AI type of stuff in recruitment, in regards to people being racialized, people who have disabilities, that stuff needs to be beta tested first, then released. not the other way around, that we're going to release it in an ATS type of platform and hope for the best, and basically do a Hail Mary type of shot, Dallas versus Minnesota, Drew Pearson type of thing, in regards to the efficacy of in terms of the efficacy of AI in ATS environments. That's why I will say that, in my personal and professional opinion, that we need to have professional standards, governance, regulations on both recruiter and job seeker in terms of the use of AI in regards to recruiting overall. Because if we do not, we could actually basically screen out people who should be coming in for interviews. One of our friends in our tight little circle right now, who is listening right now, did a live audio event on this particular motion that he felt personally affected on this, and hence basically wrote 2 or 3 newsletter articles on it. And I'm not going to name names because that person could stand on his feet and come to the stage to talk about his experience. Plus, he's going to be talking about this today at 4 p.m. Eastern. Hint, hint. So that's why I will say that unless that we have that type of professional regulations and standards and guidelines in regards to AI, I hate to say this to you, but another person in our circle of friends who are listening, by the name of Laura Sherman, who had Ricky, who was her first season 4 guest, say that I basically approached the question, is the resume dead? And it was not a controversial take because of the broadness of AI use in terms of the system, which is basically a valid type of a take in regards to this nature. Hence, that we need to have job trials. We need to have a new standard of hiring in regards to work trials, work and skills assessments, to basically separate the wheat from the chaff, the milk from the cream rising to the top in regards to the hiring situation, because of the influx of AI, which is killing people like me, who has a naturally sounding voice resume, which is not being penetrated by ATS. And now we have another platform in regards to AI that could be screening out people like me and other racialized individuals, which will basically make it anti-DEIAB, and for Lynn in the conversation, J type of hiring procedures and processes. I'm done. Have a nice day. Bye.
All right. Well, thank you, Gregory, for that, and I appreciate your passion around that. As far as the resume being dead, it's not dead yet. It might be dying, but it's definitely not dead yet, because every job requires it. So it is something that, do we see it going digital one day? I definitely could see that happening, but it's
70% of organizations are not accepting a resume right now, Felipe. Seriously, that's a stat from Business Insider.
Okay, but that's misunderstood, Gregory. Let me clarify. They are not open to receiving new applications. It doesn't mean they don't take them anymore. It means that they're not hiring. Yeah. They're not taking your application falsely. A lot of businesses out here were taking applications even though they didn't have a job to offer. And so I'm happy to hear that stat is 70% of those organizations are not falsely advertising jobs anymore, because that was the standard for a long time.
It's not falsely advertising jobs. They're not taking resumes at all, period.
Correct. I understand, and I'm agreeing with you. The reason is because they don't have an open role, so they're not accepting applications because there's nothing to offer you for your application, is what that means. It's not that they're getting rid of it. It's a misunderstanding, Gregory. They are going to accept them in the future when the job opens again. It's not like it's gone forever. That is not a thing.
Yeah. The issue is that people always say, can I leave my resume with you for future opportunities? That was very common. Now they're saying, no, I'm not accepting any resumes unless we have a current opening. And that is what that 70% stat is. So we want to clarify that because there was a lot of misunderstanding around that by a lot of people. And it is a very jarring stat because it makes you question, but it is about accepting unsolicited resumes specifically. Now, as far as the ATS and the applicant tracking system and AI, again, it is going to be an uphill battle in some cases. I'm not going to get political here, but affirmative action is something that for workplaces, not for schools, has gone away with this new administration in the sense of certain categories. Now, for disabled and veterans. And that to me is a concern because affirmative action in the school system is a quota system. It's 100% a quota system. In the workplace, it was not a quota system. It was proving that you were getting those jobs available to everyone out there. Because before the internet, we were just posting jobs where we wanted to. Not everyone had access to it. Nowadays, it's a little bit different, but it does raise a red flag of, are we still being fair to everyone? So I don't disagree 100%. It's something that we need to be on top of. But the reality is that AI is being used to screen out things that need to be screened out. And that's appropriate. It's been done for years. If you're not 18 years of age, you can't work here. I'm not going to waste my time interviewing you. That is appropriate rolling out, and we have to allow that. All right, we got two other guests up here. Houston, do you want to add anything else before we move on?
I just think there are some of those roles, like safety sensitive positions. There are some insurances that won't cover you unless you're a specific age. And so it would be job relative, and that's an applicant tracking question. That's okay. If you're a sex offender wanting to work in a hospital, the applicant tracking system is going to have that conversation for HR instead of having, it'll just take care of the issue of alignment. And it's not perfect, but I can tell you it is better than what it was. It does have more meat on the bone for applicants than a pile of applications where they just take the paper off the top and go until somebody answers. Because that's how it used to be done. A lot of people would just grab from the top and then throw them away when they were done with them and keep going. And so I think it's give and take. It's a double-edged sword, but apply online and then show up in person. You want to bridge the gap. You want to take the applicant tracking system's power away. I have pulled people out of the screening process because they didn't have the criteria that, like Felipe said, it was mandatory, but we didn't get anybody with all 5 things. So we went back through the screening process, and the person who showed up and put a face to a name, shook my hand, said they were really excited, stood out for me. You got to fight with what you know. Felipe?
I love what Lauren says here. You have to remember that AI is trained by humans. Humans have natural biases, whether they want to admit it or not, which is so true. And she says, also, just because it's AI doesn't mean it's better. What you are saying is correct, Gregory, but far away. So in time, we need to get there, Gregory. I think we all agree with that. And also, I do want to make sure that we remember that there's natural biases that Lauren mentioned just now. I said we all have it. That's why blind recruiting is such a popular thing. Now, there are people that are fighting this battle, Gregory, and I want you to know that. The whole Workday lawsuit, it was caught that they were discriminating.
Bingo! That's what I was about to say.
They were discriminating against people of over 50 years of age, and it was proven that they were getting disqualified.
And race and disability.
And so they were able to find a class action lawsuit against them, and that's been a huge wake-up call for a lot of people. All right, let's get on to our next guest. Houston, please introduce our next guest. Over to you.
I have no idea who is next. I'm so sorry. Who was next?
Oh, Sajith.
Oh, Sajith Kumar, how are you? Okay, guys, what I love about Sajith Kumar is always the giveaways that he gives on LinkedIn and the tidbits he leaves behind, but he also likes to color. And I like that we share that in common. So welcome back.
Been a long time since I colored, but yes, definitely on the radar. Speed is one thing that AI gives a benefit for business, right? And that is what I put on the post also. The alternative, Gregory, we have talked about this a lot, and also the topic is very relevant in this day and age of how it impacts not only the job search, right? Also in terms of career. Now, I'll just give you a quick example. I was talking to a client. She was asking me about the challenges that she was facing of creating cover letters customized to a particular role every time, right? She wanted to know whether she had to do it and all these things. So this was just it wasn't even a talk, it was just a chat on the WhatsApp. While she was doing it, I opened AI Studio and I created a solution for her. So a 15-minute session ended up me creating a application for her to write cover letters that could be designed based on her resume and the job description. So speed is something that works. But if you are evaluating a human being, it's like saying asking the frog whether it can climb a tree, right? See, human beings have a lot of other characters. And so, Houston remembered that I like coloring books. Now AI might have that in the memory, but would it bring up in a conversation when we're having it? No, because it wouldn't think it as a relevant thing. I don't remember when we talked about it, Melissa, regarding the art books and coloring, something that you're also passionate about. So, Gregory, the most important thing, yes, we can try to fight it. This conversation has been going on for 2 to 3 years. I think I'm not saying we have lost the battle, but I'm saying that the priority for businesses is more towards AI than to look at, okay, are they going to look at the people who have been left out? I'm sorry to say this, but I don't think business has that as a priority at this point in time. Our only advantage, like Melissa and Felipe said, is what are the strengths that we have? What are the advantages that we have against AI? How do we leverage that to the best of the ability and move forward? Those are my thoughts. Thank you.
I love what you said. And also, guys, if I wanted to work for this person, I would be listening to him and find those little things that I can bring up in a direct message, right? You want to set yourself apart. You have to have the human touch. I always say if the salmon are spawning and they're running downstream and there's thousands, tens of thousands of fish all at once, how do you stand out as a salmon? You jump upstream, one jump, the opposite direction. If everybody's applying with the easy button, go to the website. If everybody's going to the website, go in person after you've applied online. Don't do it before. They're going to tell you, go to the website. But if you say, I just wanted to introduce myself, you're standing out. If you message Sajith with something he said and like, hey, this really resonated with me. I was listening to you on the show and he has that job for you. You're on his radar now in a new way. And you can say, oh yeah, I applied for that role you're hiring for also, right? Felipe, what do you think?
Yeah, absolutely. I love the advice you give, Sajith. You always give such valuable and relevant advice. And talking about the cover letter, I'm glad that you brought that up because my prediction is the cover letter is coming back stronger than ever. And the reason why is that that's where they can see and hear your story better than the resume. That's a chance for you to share some of those metrics and examples to show that you actually did what you said you did on the resume. With AI, the way that Sajith gave you such a suggestion, I think it's a wonderful thing. But what I always tell people is before you tell it to do that, do a brain dump of what you've done. I worked on a project with a team of 5. We completed it in 6 months ahead of schedule. It was on this, and this. I also saved the company this much money by doing A, B, and C, and I was able to increase revenue by reducing the benefit costs with the wellness program and through managing whatever. And then let AI take all that data, the resume, your brain dump, and the job description, and have it tell your story, and then you tweak it to make sure that it says the story correctly, that it sounds like you, but it give that brain dump, give AI your brain dump, because that is going to be information that it needs to be able to tell a story, because otherwise it's just going to be another AI copy of somebody else's story.
I have another little tidbit to add, guys. You can open up your screen, go to your LinkedIn stats, run it for 365 and say, hey, capture this data. go to Facebook, go to Insta, whatever it is you're doing, your stats in business, you could say, capture this data. Just make sure it's not anything that you're not supposed to share. Like, create the document in Word or Excel. If it's got proprietary information there, you're not supposed to grab, but take the stats, make it easy to grab and ask it to, and then say, tell me a story about my career based on what you just read. Tell me a story about my online experience of growth based on what you're seeing. What are my strengths? What are my weaknesses? When are my hot spots? When are my, cold times? And you can even have it look at your top post and see what people were engaging about. You can have it read the comments section. Guys, you can define this for yourself. But if you don't know your data, you can never tell the story of your data. And so have it teach you how to read it, even if you need it to. There's no wrong answer here except not using it, is what I would say. Felipe?
So true. It's so true. Melissa and Sajith, I just sent you the Marinette Max coloring book that I made to accompany the book that I wrote, since you both like the color so much.
Yay!
It's in your LinkedIn chat. All right. So I love what Tom Collins said real quick before we go to Bill. He says that cover letter is your summary. Sometimes recruiters will even pass on the resume view if you have the cover page. Summary of you attracts their attention to move forward. What do you say about that, Felipe and Melissa? And what I'll say about that is, as someone who I used to think cover letters were a waste of time, the last place I was at, every hire we made for the 2 years I was there, every time the hiring manager says the cover letter is what made me just pick them. They resonate with how we do things here. They had great examples, and I could tell they were passionate. So there are companies that are going to double down on that. Absolutely.
I'm going to say cover letter and LinkedIn, because at this point, the cover letter makes me interested enough to read the resume. The resume makes me want to go to LinkedIn and see who else can confirm your story there.
Okay, let's just put a caveat there. If anyone thinks that we don't ever think you should have your LinkedIn optimized, you've not been to our show before. So please, absolutely, double down on LinkedIn before anything else, because I just been a recruiter that says, I don't look at the resume. I send the resume to the hiring manager. I only look at their LinkedIn page. And that's a recruiter that does stuff for a company as big as Amazon. So just saying. All right. With that being said, Bill, thank you for being patient, my friend. How have you been? I know last week we had some mic issues. Hopefully everything's cleared up. Please tell us your thoughts on this topic. Wait, hold on. Stand by. Are you there? Go ahead.
Yeah.
All right, good.
Am I breaking up? Because I can hear crackling on this thing.
Hi,
You
Bill.
sound
You're
okay
good.
right now. You're good.
All right. So the first thing I'm going to say is we should all be listening, because the last few shows I've listened to you, and I've always listened to Melissa describe who you guys are, and you guys have the best opening pitches about who you are. And it keeps making me refocus on how do I say, when people ask who I am, to really have a confident response to it. So you teach every time you introduce yourselves. So thank you for that. Nice seeing you,
Ooh,
Melissa,
that's a
by the way.
nice compliment. Hi.
Yeah, thank you very much. That was very nice.
The second thing I was going to say is I, because of being so busy, would never look at a cover letter. And so because of that, I used to not include one. But nowadays, with so many people applying, I feel like that's a key differentiator for the recruiter. So I always include a very tailored resume, as well as a follow-up email to the person who posted the job. In regards to what Gregory was saying, because he didn't want to tell who it was, but then he said Sunday at 4. I was going to have a conversation today. Gregory, I don't think I'm going to have that conversation, but I will say this. Felipe and Melissa are correct that it is questions that the recruiter actually puts out there to qualifying questions. The Workday issue was not user generated, that was platform generated, where they discriminated against 1.1 billion applicants. And I actually called two different jobs when I was applying, and both of them said that they never received my resume. So I sent it to them directly, and one said, "You would have been a perfect candidate, but unfortunately we filled the job." And the other one called me in the next day, and they were both using Workday. So there was definitely a problem there. I didn't correlate it until, everything came out, but that's an issue that they're addressing now, and I'm curious to see how it actually unfolds. But I do have a final question for you guys regarding qualifying questions. You ready?
Yep.
All right. So I was uh, submitting an application the other day, and for the first time ever, it asked me two questions that shocked me. First, said, "What race are you?" And then I chose my race. And then, "What country does your family originate from?" And I was like, that's a little bit deep, and I don't really know because of my ancestry. We don't really know. The second question it asked me was about sexual orientation, and you know how it normally says LGBTQ or gay or straight or whatever. Um, this one said, "Are you asexual, bisexual?" Um, and I felt like that was very invasive. So my question to you guys is, do you answer those questions, or do you put "I prefer not to answer"? And if you say "I prefer not to answer," is that a trigger that gets you disqualified?
So no, it's not triggered to get you disqualified.
Okay.
Those are optional self-identifying questions that were created back when affirmative action came out to make sure that we could actually track applicants to ensure that we were not discriminating against people. And now it's become more of an inclusive thing, but people still keep it for tracking purposes so that they can prove that they're not discriminating against anyone. And the only one that, so all those are appropriate and very common, and they have been for the last 20 years, with the exception of your sexual orientation. That's new. That has come out over the last 2 or 3 years, where they get specific: asexual, bisexual, pansexual, every version you can imagine. And so it's listed there so that people feel like they can identify if they want to. But if you mark, and it's also like the vets question: are you a veteran or not? They ask you that question as well. Or are you disabled or not? You don't have to answer any of those questions. You can answer, "I prefer not to disclose." It does not
Okay.
hurt. It is only meant for data in case they ever need to use it to show that they are not discriminating, and to show who they're hiring. But it is not meant as a discriminatory. If people do it, obviously, I've never heard of a story of someone using it in a discriminatory fashion. Let me say that.
Yeah, it was just the first time I've ever seen it so deep, and I was like, "Wow, that's interesting." So I thought I'd ask the
I
question.
I have more questions actually because I've never seen what country of origin is your family from, and I'm like, I have 4 different genetic profiles based on my DNA, and truthfully, we're a melting pot. But I do think there is a risk here that I just want to identify. I think it's great for businesses to ask the questions they want answers to. I think it's great to be inclusive. I will also say I think some of these questions exclude people.
Yeah.
When I go in and I see, hey, identify your sexuality, I'll be honest. What if it's not a question I've had to worry about, guys? Whether I'm asexual, bisexual, pan, trans, all of these things that people can live, right? Bisexual people may choose one gender to marry and still be attracted to another. It's none of my business what you do off the clock. And so for me, that turns me off as an applicant. It's none of your business what my sexual preference is. It's not a conversation we can have legally in the office. If there's a state tax break, which happens with hiring veterans and the disabled and whatever, maybe it would be applicable, but I would absolutely stop in that moment and either say, choose not to answer or just not go ahead with it. Because if it doesn't align with how I feel in the moment, I stop no matter what it is. And so I
Right.
would use that rule of thumb for anything, but that is a unique one, Felipe. Why would they ask about country of origin?
So two things. One, with the sexual orientation, what I've seen, I'd say at least 70% of the time, they have been LGBTQ friendly or allies. So I think they're doing it in a positive way. As far as the origin, that did trip me up a little bit, because your national origin is a question that they can ask as a follow-up, but it's not usually a common one they ask. The whole Hispanic Latino thing mixed everyone up, because are you Hispanic, Latino, or white, or not? If you're not, what else are you? And they get it all. So they've jumbled it up a lot. But the national origin, that one there, I would personally, I don't know if I would feel comfortable sharing that, even though I talk about it all the time and it's not a secret. That's a little bit too deep in my opinion as well. I think just list what you are, or don't answer.
Yeah, it came out that they're going to start doing this uh, in December. So it's just weird. And I agree with Melissa. If I select LGBTQ, that's all you need to know. Like, you don't need to know like that deep into my sexual preferences. Are you asexual? That just shocked me. That's like,
That's why I call it self-identifying. They're giving you a choice. If you feel like you want to identify this way and you want people to, and even if when you do, it's confidential.
but
But
now you're in my bedroom. Like,
but
that's
some people are proud about how they self-identify and they want to make it known, and so they're going to make it known on forums and in public, and that's their choice. So I think it's been there's people that could use it negatively, but I think the intent from what I've seen so far has been more of a, hey, we want to give you a chance to identify if you choose to.
got it.
Okay. I gotta say this. I think we all have to just move with what we feel is right. I think if you are proud of who you are, you do want to display your certifications, your degrees, your lifestyle, your favorite car, whatever it is, right? Everybody has their own thing they want to highlight in their life. I do think it's a slippery slope when we take all things into the workplace. I don't think everybody wants to hear about your brand new BMW. I don't think everybody wants to see your engagement ring or the baby sonogram photos. And I think if we start this in the application process for anything more than just like required government tracking, then it becomes something that can be a workplace culture, which is great for those who want it. But I've had people tell me that I needed to put my career down on LinkedIn, my coaching career down, like Jesus's disciples did in an interview. And I was like, I'm sorry, did you just compare yourself to Jesus and make me a disciple? And truthfully, that turned me off to the whole idea of selling for this person, because it blurred a line that I don't want to cross personally. Now, I'm a person of faith. Just doesn't mean I want to have to do that at work with people, right? And I definitely don't want to have my boss think he's got a Jesus complex and I have to just obey everything he says and put everything down to tour with him. But that's a personal thing I decided. Even as a Christian, it did not fit my narrative of who I want to be as a person, right? And so I think it all comes down to answer the questions you want to. If you're uncomfortable, you don't have to. It's a choice. Nobody's going to force you to finish the app and to answer Michelle's question. But how bad do you want it? How much are you willing to sacrifice? I've had clients get told to put their careers down so they could have a new career with this other thing. And I gave the metaphor of just putting your show in a box, tying it up in a bow and gifting it to the other person. And I think that's true with our personal information too. It's up to you if you want to gift that to somebody else. You are not required to tell everybody everything about your life. Even if Felipe and I are very transparent, he would feel uncomfortable in an app sharing something he does publicly, because we do it with people with intention, not for them to exclude or decline us, right, Felipe?
Yeah. So and let's be honest about this. If you are private about sharing that, I wouldn't share it. Meaning, if you don't want other people to know what your sexual orientation is, do not put it on there. For two reasons. One, because it's no one else's business. But two, I'm not going to lie. There are some nosy ass HR people out there that are going to be all in your business about it. And they are going to, unfortunately, some are gossipers. I hate it. They don't belong in HR, but I'd be lying if they don't exist. So
Right. And
that's
everyone has
that.
people have
Go ahead.
biases. I find it hard to think that everyone has good intentions when you're submitting your stuff online. It just went a little bit too far for me.
Yeah, you just have to have your eyes wide open. But Bill, know that those questions are standard, except for the national origin. They're becoming more and more standard with the LGBTQ ones. I've seen it myself, and it's again optional, and it's not going to hurt you if you don't answer them. Okay, people have felt the same way about the disability one. All right, Michelle's question here. There are often a slew of optional questions on applications. Should you answer them or not? Here's my personal take. I'm not going to say it's necessarily the best take. It's my personal take. If I am a fan of answering the questions when they're optional. If I don't have a good example, then no, I won't answer it. Or if it doesn't apply, I'm not going to answer it. But if they're throwing it there as optional, that's an opportunity for you to stand out to them and show they obviously want someone that understands that skill set, or there's something about that question that they're hoping that you have that skill set that might make you a stronger candidate. So I highly recommend that unless you have a concern about it, answer the optional questions. Have it be a full, complete application. I'll give you an example. For the first time on Thursday, I actually sent at the end of my application, right before submit, it says, send a 30-second video to introduce yourself, optional. I'm like, oh God, I need to brush my hair. I'm like, screw it, I'm going to do it. So I did it. Who knows if it's going to help, but I bet you a lot of people didn't do it. And I think that the more you do things that are optional, the more you might stand out. That's my take, Houston. You might agree or disagree. What are your thoughts?
I will not be your friend if you make me do a video for an application. I hate it.
Shocker.
I hate it. But truthfully, I hated it 8 years ago when I had the first ask. 8 years ago. I think if you want to see me, we should get on a call. If you want to talk to me and have me answer questions, we should engage. I really don't like the one-way video interviews that have become very prevalent out here right now. I do think if you're comfortable, do it. That's the rule of thumb we said earlier, right? Do what feels good for you. I don't want to work for a company who takes the human engagement out of the interview process. I understand you might get 10,000 applicants for this. That's your fault. You kept the job open too long. You weren't concise about what you truly needed, and it wasn't clear enough to eliminate the bad. I think it comes down to the recruiters writing a good job description and qualifications too, and then doing the work. I think the ATS is not as problematic as a lot of people make it out to be. I think there are problems, but the humans are mostly the issue, always, because we create the tech. So pot kettle, right? We are the ones who created the problem. And the only way to solve it is to get back in there and be more human about it. So if your hiring process is mostly transactional and technology based, how are you selling your business? This is the part where, as an HR executive, Felipe, how much of the interview is actually selling the program to the person, selling the belief, the core values, the desires you're looking for to fill, and how are these engagements solving for that if that's the goal? Do you think there's more value in this kind of onboarding? Do you think there's not? And I would love to hear from Sajith on this too, if he has something to share.
No, I mean, I was reading some of the comments, so if I heard you correctly, from a recruiter standpoint, I never considered myself a salesperson until I realized how much I am selling when I'm interviewing. I'm selling the workplace. I'm selling the benefits. I'm selling the job. I'm selling their boss. I'm selling the future of their career. It's something that when you paint that picture, that human connection there is just as important for the employer to see from you as for you to see from them. Because especially nowadays, we got to be careful. How many of you, tell me in the chat, how many of you have gotten a spam or AI job recruiting message on text, email, saying, I have the perfect job for you based on your skills and this and that? But ironically, they never tell you the name of the company, the title of the job, and it's like, who are you? And there are people out there that fall for this. My son fell for it right out of college. He was looking for jobs. Thank God he asked me about it, because he would have fell for it. But it was very convincing. So we have to be careful that we don't fall for the AI. As the recruiter, they're looking for the human factor to prove that you can do what you can say you can do. As the candidate, you've got to do the same thing. You got to make sure that you've got the human connection with them, that they're showing you that the human side matters and that you're not being fooled by AI. So, Jeesh, what are your thoughts?
Completely agree with you, Felipe. What you said is correct, and that goes for the candidate also, right, Felipe? You're selling the company, you're not selling the role, you're selling the company, you're selling the boss, you're selling the culture also nowadays, and of course the job comes in place. The job seeker is also constantly selling, and so that is what they're looking at. Everybody knows that everybody has inflated resumes, and what Melissa and you said before, right? If their receipts don't show at the end, you can have a amazing resume, you have an amazing LinkedIn profile, everything matches, but if it doesn't, the receipts don't match during an interview, they're not going to hire you, right? Everything that you said on a resume, you can boost it up, make it look perfect, but end of the day, it is you who matters, and that is the human element that is going to be the fingerprint that you carry with you always. And rightly what you said, Melissa, that if you need to do differently, that handshake is going to make it different. If nobody is reaching out to people, how many candidates have picked up the called the office to find out who's the hiring manager and said, can I have a call with this? How many of them actually do it? No, they don't, right? It is difficult. There are multiple blocks in this process, but the people who actually do it have been successful in doing it, right? How many are sending not the automated thank you notes? End of the interview, do you take the initiative to say, for that company that you choose, that you have did, that is my go-to company and that is my go-to role, after the interview, have you decided you want to send maybe a handwritten thank you note? Do you think it is going to make a difference? I'm not sure, but that is icing on the cake that you need to share it out there.
I just had to add a cherry on this. That was beautifully said. And the other thing, guys, is just ask yourself a real question, audience, even on the stage. When's the last time you had a job where it was AI only interviewing and you felt good about getting it? Because when I think about those moments where somebody said yes to me, said, you are the one we want, this is the role for you, we're so glad we found you, there was a human there. There's a memory there. There's an experience to be had. And there's also an experience to be missed if you're going AI only for your onboarding process. And so please bring some human touch, even if it's every other touch. Let it be human, because we lose something in it. And you wonder why turnover is bad. I would love to see the numbers of what companies did from the human experience of onboarding to going more AI focused, and see what the longevity is on the back end of that flow.
Oh, I can tell you right now from Gallup surveys, the average longevity 10 or 15 years ago was 8 years in the job. It's down to 2 years. That's a huge drop, a massive drop. Listen, this has been probably one of the most riveting conversations we've had in a long time. We are not going to shy away from this, because this is going to keep on happening. Hopefully it will improve. But let us know if there are other topics like this that you would like us to cover, because we want to make sure that we are tackling relevant things that are happening today. And these are real life examples that you heard from the people that came up on stage and from Melissa and I. I want to thank everyone that joined us. We had some amazing people in here that I want to call out, because If you're not following them, you need to. We already mentioned Lauren Sherman. I want to reiterate about the AOL thing because I have my AOL account still, but I have my Gmail account that I use for everything. The only reason I keep my AOL account is for all my old ass relatives that still send me emails to that one and have not figured out that I have a Gmail yet. So, and I probably have a few old accounts tied to that too anyway. But regardless, follow Lauren Sermon. She does so much. She has so much knowledge and information. She has great lives on Fridays at 3:00. Michelle Norton, you've been amazing. Roland, thank you for always coming. It's great to see you here. Meryl Cass, I can't say enough good things about you. Stephen, thank you for always showing up. And kudos again for having that neurodiversity section in the library. I love that you are promoting that. Nick, always appreciate you. Gotta get in touch with you about the book. Bernard, thank you again for coming. Leah Garcia, you're amazing. She does a lot of great shows. Leslie, thank you for being here as well. And Misha was in the house. Great to see you. And then Tom Collin, thank you for coming. Sean, thank you for watching on YouTube. And where is she?
Also, thanks for me, guys. I'm so glad you guys showed up. This was great, Felipe.
Yeah. Oh, so Coach Carey, and then here, and Maria, but then Charlotte Taylor and oh good Lord, where is she? Why am I not seeing her? Oh, okay. So Charlotte Taylor and Lynn Williams, those two people, they are both really, really great people that help with resumes, ATSs specifically. They have great tips. Lynn Williams, especially, she has some great insights on just how to manipulate LinkedIn to help you narrow down your job search. One trick she showed me just 2 days ago, how to, when you do a job search and you're trying to figure out relevant jobs, how to find the ones in the last 24 hours and how to reduce the number from 8,000 down to like 200 so you can manage the ones that are you want the most. And it really is something that's a little bit of a nice trick to get the jobs that open up the quickest and seeing them and applying to them first. So check out Lynn's Substack if you want to learn more about that and follow her there, because she does regular lives on Clubhouse and on LinkedIn. And I just want to call her out for being a great recruiter, a great help for people out there with their resumes and cover letters. She had a great tip in here about the T-style cover letter. So check them out. And Dr. Tanya, thank you for coming as well. And thank you for everyone that came up on stage. And I think that is it. So Melissa and I, we appreciate you all. You are and Kenneth Dunner was here. Thank you, Kenny. Meryl Cass, AOL. Yes, I'm sure you probably have one too still. You and I have that in common. All right. So listen, you all, Melissa and I cannot thank you enough for being here. We talk about how grateful we are to you all for showing up on a regular basis, for being part of this community that we've built, and just continuing to bring your questions, bring your insights, share your experiences. I can't tell you how grateful I am. I know Melissa is as well, but I'll let her speak. Melissa?
Guys, and I've missed you all. I've been a little bit on hiatus, and I just want to take 2 seconds for those who are friends and still here. My dad was diagnosed with stage 4 prostate cancer. It is Gleason level 9, which means it's not great. It has moved to his, bones and lymph nodes. So that was something we were dealing with as a family. My mom's birthday was on the 15th. For those of you who know, she has passed, and just kind of having that information come back to back in the same 7-day stretch was a lot. But then I also was busy yesterday with a wedding event. And I have to tell you, I love event management in a way that I forget. You guys know I've been doing the bike nights at the motorcycle shop for quite some time. We also ended up losing a rider after our last event on Tuesday. It was my mom's birthday. He passed away at 9 that night. It was very quick and sudden and unexpected again. And I just got to be honest, guys, I am actively opening my mind to doing more event management roles and stepping away from cycle gear as a leader, just because I don't want to keep losing my employees. Customers people, and it has been all of the above in the past few years due to accidents. And so that's what I've been kind of focusing on, dealing with family, dealing with faith, dealing with self-care. So we'll take all prayers that are extended, good vibes, whatever. But also, if you see something that is out there for me from an event management, sales, motivation, leading, trainer, whatever it is, please send it my way, because I am actively just opening up my horizons to see what's next, letting the fun and passion lead the way. But that event yesterday, Felipe, just walking around and seeing all these little entrepreneurs, solopreneurs setting up their booths, handmade goods, wedding events, just planning and catering and all of the fun. The vibe was great. And I just think that's what I'm going to focus on. I would love to hear from you guys in the chat what you're focusing on that makes you excited, whether it's work related or personal. But Felipe, thank you for the show. Guys, he's putting up my stuff here. So please go check out documentthenAct.com. That's where you can find more about me, some testimonials, some of the stuff I've been up to. You can learn more about me on Amazon too, because Felipe and I were in a few books together. They were mentioned throughout the show. And I have my YouTube channel. If you look for Document Then Act, you'll find me everywhere. But I would love your support. It's growing. We're up to 44 subscribers over there. And I'm just shocked I'm late to the game. I know, Felipe, when you were on Lauren's show on Friday, you guys did a call out, which I appreciate too, where she had said that I had coached her, and she had started with like 300 followers on LinkedIn. When I was listening to the show, I jumped over to her LinkedIn to see where she is now. She's at 45,000 followers on this platform. And when we met, she was at 300. And then you guys did a show together, and it was just beautiful. I was part of Team Replay, guys, because of all of the above. But you should be part of Team Replay too. So go find it on her post. I'm sure he shared it. And thank you again, Felipe, just for taking the calls this week and listening in, because he totally played Big Brother this week. And we were super kind. And I know he had some stuff. I won't talk about your stuff, but it was just like a chaotic little week. Really was.
It has been chaotic week. My brother was in the hospital last week, and he's okay, but his blood pressure dropped down to 55/39. Yeah. I'll leave it at that.
Yeah.
Okay.
No. So he was literally a miracle, walking, talking, doing anything.
The doctors and nurses were like, how are you walking? He's like, I don't know. And while they're in the ER with him, the bathroom's across the hall from where his room is. I'm jealous of all the people going into that bathroom. Can I go use it? And they're like, oh, do you want a wheelchair? Do you want a walker? I was like, no, I can walk. They're like, how? And so, but they got him taken care of, hydrated. There was some medication cocktails that he was taking from his doctors that they realized was impacting him negatively. And so that was taken care of. So anyways.
Also, just a reminder, guys, even though we make this look easy, we're humans, life happens. And so if you're going through it, please just know, like, it's cool to take some time off, do what you need to do, just prioritize, and don't feel bad about it at all.
Yeah, I have a few people that I need to get back to, and I've told them, like, I know I haven't got back to you, and they've been kind. They're like, we know you're busy, but I didn't even share that I was dealing with my brother and all that stuff, but I appreciate everyone's kindness. All right, real quick, for those of you that have, before I forget, we have to congratulate Mr. Kenneth Dunner on 38 years of service at his company. Wow. Now, here's the thing. I have a question for Kenny. Kenny, are you lost in time, or are you a little bit sleepy? Because when you read his comment, oh my God, this April 18th, I'll be employed at my current employer for 38 years. But today's the 19th, Kenny. So I'm just saying. So I'm a little confused.
So maybe he had written it so many times up to the 18th that he just forgot to change
maybe
pretenses.
That's what it was.
But listen, after 38 years, we're going to let him slide a little bit.
We'll
let him do whatever he needs. Do you know, and Kenny, with all due respect, sir, do you know that's almost 4 decades?
That's amazing.
And I got to say this, because the employer I'm actively working for, they have a ton of people who have been there for a long time. I think it says so much for the organization to retain talent at that level.
Oh, yeah.
And I just want to say it's not the industry's problem. It is the industry's problem as a whole. They can't do anything. It's not the employer's fault that I have to see these things. But just if you guys are looking for work, you probably should go stalk Kenny because his employer kept him for almost 4 decades. They're probably doing something right. And I would love to ask Kenny what that is on another show, maybe. Like, what was it? Maybe we can have that conversation when we talk about retention.
That would be awesome because, I mean, Kenny, I spent 23 years at Hyatt Hotels. That seems like a lifetime. When I left, they said, you're a retiree. I'm like, I'm not retiring. I'm going to another company. Like, yes, but you get retiree benefits. Like, you still get 50% off food and 70% off hotel rooms. I'm like, well, then hell, call me a retiree then. But 23 years was a long time. 38 years is just an amazing accomplishment. And kudos to the employer, but kudos to you for doing what you do. Obviously, you're good at it. You love what you do. So congratulations to Kenny.
There he is. He said, yesterday I am employed. So he was right. And maybe he did get used to typing it. Also, that's something I think I really want to tap into. Guys, if you know people who have been at their employer for 1, 2, 3 decades, we would love to chat with them. I'm going to ask you guys to tag your network. Who has been there? Who has had that longevity? Who has found the place where they just can't leave for whatever reason? Because truthfully, COVID started this whole 2-year and jump so you can make the most money ever. And those who didn't, I would love to talk to them about why. Also, Felipe, where are your friends at? Because maybe I could work at a hotel. That would be not too bad.
Hotel industry was awesome. I
want discounts.
I would be lying if I said I wouldn't go back for the right opportunity because, it taught me so much of what I love, and it's got a special culture that really is hard to find other places.
Well, and the other thing I'll say is I was at the hotel for Easter. We went and got a room just so I could be in the hot tub and pool. The Pacific Northwest is lacking them unless you go pay for it. But I was sitting at the hotel going, oh man, I wish I could just have them come down and do this. And then I started planning. If I was a hotel manager, we would do 1 floor a month, like 1 week on each floor, and just rotate the whole floor of this floor building. And guys, sometimes I can't help myself. I think it would be fun to talk to all the people too. You guys find a job, an idea that makes you that passionate and just run with it. Felipe, I think anything we do is human focused, and that's the fun part. And then the concierge style service is what you carry through your consulting. We do it here. I think it's a pillar of your brand now too.
And I think hospitality, because I used to think that concierge style service, that drop what you're doing when an employee comes in your office mentality was HR quality. No, it was a hospitality quality that I've carried through my HR career, that I wish all HR people should go through hospitality training, honestly, because it would make a huge difference. But with that being said, if any of you are looking for any services to help up your HR team's game with recruitment, with training, with auditing, I'm here to help with those services. I'm also here if you're looking for someone full-time to take over your team to help you run your HR department. But HR has so many facets nowadays that staying relevant and making sure that we keep those human connections relevant are more important than ever, because we got to stay legally compliant and all the things, but we can't forget about the humans because they're our biggest asset. So with that being said, feel free to follow me on LinkedIn on Continue Consulting, HR Advisors. And if you would do me the honor of following me on YouTube, that channel is growing. I'm trying to do more there to house everything that we do, so it's easy for people to find. So I appreciate all the people that have already subscribed. And for all of you that are watching, we will be back in 2 weeks with another wonderful episode of Careers, Chaos, and Coaching with none other than Melissa Houston and me. So go ahead, Houston. What were you going to say?
You guys just have a great weekend.
And be safe. And as always, be confident because you got a lot of experience. Be curious what you don't know about and go learn it. You got a lot of access. Be grateful for what you have because you got more than others. Be compassionate to yourself because you're going through a lot, and be tenacious as hell because you got this. Have a great day, everyone. We'll see you soon, and have a great week. Adios.
In the morning light, I'm chasing dreams, navigating through the office streams. Deadlines looming, emails piling high, wondering if I'm reaching for the sky or just passing by. The world outside, it's a swirling storm, chaos in the streets, a daily norm. But inside my mind, I'm seeking peace, a way to balance, a moment to seize. Careers, chaos, and coaching too. Finding the path, what else can we do? Observing closely, learning as we go. Making decisions, let our wisdom show. Through the storms and the calm, we'll find our way. With every challenge, we'll learn to say, we've got the strength, we've got the grace to face the world and find our place. Upon meetings, voices in my head, strategies and plans, where do they lead instead? I take a breath, step back to see the bigger picture, what's meant to be. Coaching sessions, a guiding light, helping me focus, setting things right. With every word, a new perspective gained. In the game of life, it's not about the pain. Careers, chaos, and coaching too. Finding the path, what else can we do? Observing closely, learning as we go. Making decisions, let our wisdom show. Through the storms and the calm, we'll find our way. With every challenge, we'll learn to say, we've got the strength, we've got the grace to face the world and find our place. Quiet moments, I find my voice. In the chaos, I make my choice to lead with kindness, to act with care, to be the change, to show I'm aware. Careers, chaos, and coaching too. Finding the path, what else can we do? Observing closely, learning as we go. Making decisions, let our wisdom show. Through the storms and the calm, we'll find our way. With every challenge, we'll learn to say, we've got the strength, we've got the grace to face the world and find our